We know what we need to do. So
let me interrupt you for a second, because I have a couple questions. So with Johnson & Johnson, the statute that they violated was the public nuisance. Now there's a lot of people that would say, you know, why weren't they tried for murder?
That's a great question. I think you know, that's prosecutors in various states trying to figure it out. I will say to you, and I'm not privy to their thought process, but as a lawyer, it's easy to say somebody's criminally responsible for something. It's a heck of a lot harder to go into a courtroom and prove that.
Who gets to decide how we use that money?
That's a good question. So if there's a and so in Oklahoma, in that case, as I understand it, what the judge has said, and he broke it down in his decision, X amount of it goes for treatment, X goes for like working with foster care system, because as we all know, the impact of this epidemic goes way beyond treatment and need for treatment.
Yeah.
Right? There's foster care situations, there's kinship issues, there's grandparents raising their children's kids because they're no longer here. So he broke out how the money should be spent. So, and I believe he's going to leave it to he's asked the parties to come back to them for their plan of how to spend the money. He identified how it ought to be spent. And just so everybody understands, the state of Oklahoma put forward a plan. This is what we would do to abate this nuisance of opioid prescribing. And so my guess is he will leave it to the officials in the state of Oklahoma.
Talking about what would be the difference? Now I know it was like the state suing Johnson & Johnson. Why couldn't they do I don't know if it's called a class action lawsuit, where all the individuals get together and say, listen, we want to sue you, like sue all the victims, maybe the parents that have lost a child or whatever. Why hasn't it been done that way, do you think?
I'm not entirely sure. I know at least in our situation, you know, in the state of New York, our agency, the state government, primarily funds treatment, prevention, and recovery services in the state. So we're suing effectively on behalf of the residents of the state of New York. I don't know if there's private litigation. One of my guesses is the pharmaceutical companies and the distributors are, let's just say, they're very well represented legally. And even these lawsuits that we've been involved in, they've got armies of lawyers, and it's very expensive. It's very expensive to sue and then to get a case to a point where it's ready for trial. It could be years.